Good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to this year's pre-departure briefing for Singaporean students planning to study in the UK. We know that there are also some non-Singaporean students here with us today, so welcome to you too. Thank you for joining us this evening. I hope you're all well. My name is Lissy Vadakale, and I'm the Country Director at British Council Singapore. I'm delighted to welcome you to this evening session. You're all embarking on an exciting new chapter in your student life, and we are here to support you on that journey. So this evening, we'll be covering practical information and guidance on how to prepare for your upcoming studies and what you can expect from the UK higher education sector at this time. On our panel this evening, we are very pleased to be joined by Lucy Watkins, Regional Director, British Council East Asia, Elizabeth Treston, British Council Study UK Director, Vivian Yu, Customer Account Manager of the UK Visas and Immigration, Chai Sin Chen, President of the United Kingdom Singapore Students' Council or UKSSC, Pa Hui Huang, Regional Director of the Singapore Global Network, and also our sponsors of this evening's event, Guan Chung Lee, Assistant Vice President of HSBC Bank Singapore Limited, Nausharwan Abdullah, Vice President Marsh Singapore, and Nausharwan's colleagues are also with us, Leslie and Josephine, and Joey, Business Development Manager at Vita Student. So thank you everyone, speakers, for joining us today. Now, before we get started, just a quick note on how you can interact with our panelists during the session. You will only have access to the Q&A box, so please do type in your questions into the Q&A section, into the Q&A box. And what I will do is I'll try my best to pose these questions of yours to the panel during the Q&A segment, which will be towards the end of today's webinar. If you see a question that you also wish to hear the answer to, then please like that, choose that, so that will help me to select the more popular questions because we might not have a lot of time towards the end of the session. You also have the option of turning your captions on if you would like to do so, and I'll help you with that in a bit. And do note that we will be recording this session. All right, so to begin with, let me introduce to all of you Ms. Lucy Watkins, Regional Director, British Council East Asia, who will provide this evening's opening address. Over to you, Lucy.
Thanks, Lissy, and hello, everyone. Welcome to today's pre-departure briefing. So my name's Lucy Watkins, as Lissy said, and I'm the Regional Director for the British Council in East Asia, based here in Singapore. It's fantastic to see that we're joined today by so many students and parents, so thank you very much for taking the time this evening to attend this session. We're so pleased that you're considering the UK as your study destination. Singaporean students who choose to study in the UK are the backbone to Singapore-UK relations, and they help to build mutual trust and understanding between our two countries. And every year, close to 8,000 Singaporean students now opt to study in the UK, making the UK one of the most popular study destinations for the country's students. And you might know that many students who are leaders in their fields have undergone a UK education, including now half of Singapore's current cabinet. UK universities really value the diversity and academic contribution that Singaporean students bring to the UK. And the international connections forged by Singaporean students enrich the UK's academic life and communities across the UK. Above all, long-term trust and understanding is built from these people-to-people connections. So this is an exciting time for you all. You will never forget your time studying in the UK with great experiences and friendships that will last a lifetime. And whether it's your first time in our beautiful country or simply your first time away from home, this is your chance to fall in love with the UK's rich traditions, modern attitudes, and our exceptional cultural scene. With a global reputation for research and academic excellence, the UK is a perfect place to to discover your talents. Academics and employers across the world admire and respect the formidable reputation of the UK's education system, and our graduates are amongst the most employable in the world. And this is because our universities and colleges consistently top world rankings. 2 of the world's top 10 universities can be found in the UK, and a further 26 of our universities and colleges are among the world's 200 best institutions for learning. But beyond academic quality and rigour, our universities will ensure that your well-being is also a top priority while you're in the UK, and so you'll feel safe and secure as you meet students from every country and make important friendships and learn about hundreds of other cultures, all in the home of the English language. Starting a new course and moving overseas is a significant undertaking though, and we know that you'll have lots of questions. So today's session is a great opportunity for you to hear from our Study UK team, the UK Visas and Immigration, the UK Singapore Students' Council and the Singapore Global Network about some of the key things that you need to prepare for, as well as the support system that you'll have in the UK. So I'd like to thank our sponsors, HSBC, Marsh and Vita Student, for joining us today. I'm sure our audience will be very keen to hear how you could support their stay in the UK. So students, a very warm welcome is awaiting each and every one of you. The UK's open and inclusive way of life will inspire you. Our rich cultural history will fire your imagination and you'll be able to develop your best and brightest ideas by studying in the UK. I'd like to wish you all the best with your studies and hope that you find the rest of this session useful to help you prepare for this next exciting phase of your student life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lucy. I'd like to now introduce Ms. Elizabeth Tresnan from Study UK, who will share with us key information on preparing for your studies and on life as a student in the UK. Over to you now, Elizabeth.
Thank you very much, Lizzie, and thank you to Lucy for a lovely welcome to everybody on this call. My name's Elizabeth Tresnan and I'm the Study UK Director based in the UK, and I'm actually based in our Manchester office. So I would like to extend that welcome as well to all of you this evening. Next slide, please, Sandra. I'd like to discuss a few things that you need to consider as you're planning your adventure to the UK. And it is an adventure and it's something to be really excited about, but at the same time, we need to think practically as well. You've got a lot to plan over the next few months, and it's about making sure you are ready. So what will I cover today? So first of all, I'm going to look at before you leave home. So what do you need to consider before you leave your home country? And then it's about travelling to the UK and then what to expect when you do arrive in the UK. There's a few things you need to think about studying in the UK. It might be different from what you're used to, and I'll hopefully enable you to understand what to expect. There's also considerations about living in the UK. And then finally, we know that moving to a different country and moving to a different culture might be strange to you, and it's about how you can look after yourself during that process. Okay, thank you, Sandra. So before you leave home, we're going to look at information from your UK university or institution. You should have those letters now. You should be getting regular correspondence, and we'll look what that all entails. There's a bit of a checklist of things to arrange before you arrive in the UK. And then also I want to just flag a course that the Study UK team have available to you and how that can help you prepare to study and live in the UK. Thank you. So first and foremost, what information can you expect from your UK university? So firstly, make sure that you meet any deadlines that are set by your university and institution. This is really important. Go through the letter, go through it a number of times. You'll have received a confirmation of acceptance for studies. You must check that all the details are correct, and have they asked you to do anything? Have they asked you to provide any information to them? And make sure you know exactly what they're asking. Your university will also have sent you information about academic matters, any language, cultural preparation you might need to do, what it will be like when you arrive in the UK, managing your money, health and well-being, and also if you need any disability or accessibility support as well. But please make sure that you read all the information very, very carefully, because it will be really important for when you actually arrive in the UK. Thank you. So a quick checklist. I always love a checklist because I think you can tick things off as you're going through. So before you leave your home country, there are a few things you need to arrange. So your visa and passport, that's going to be covered in this presentation. So you don't need to worry about it now, but really it is something you need to make sure you've done everything you need to do. So there's also details relating to your biometric residence permit, your flight to the UK, have you booked that? Is there anything else that I need to consider? Travel insurance, all associated with that flight to the UK. Then it's accommodation. What will my accommodation look like when I first arrive? Or do I need to just get temporary accommodation before I move into my permanent accommodation? You need to consider medical insurance, that famous confirmation of studies letter from your university. What are the conditions of the offer? And then make sure, and I always say this to international students, make sure you have a contact telephone number and email from your institution or university. Don't have it on your phone, have it as a piece of paper in your hand luggage. Your phone might drop out of charge, you might not be able to phone somebody at that particular moment. So if you've got it written down on a piece of paper, you can always go to a telephone box, or you can always go to somewhere at the airport if you need to speak to them. Always have the information on a piece of paper. Thank you. So the other thing I just want to stress, which is really important, is that the online course that we offer, we have really good feedback from international students. The course gives you those practical tips. I can give you a few headlines to think about, but this course goes a bit deeper into those practical tips that you need to consider. It's entirely free to any international student, and it's a course that you can complete over 4 weeks and in your own time. So you can do it really quickly if you want to get through all the 4 weeks of information, or you can take your time over that 4 weeks. You will learn about UK higher education. It's those teaching methods, course structures, and the forms of assessment that we have here in the UK. There's also tips for studying the English language. Moving to a new country, it's about understanding the types of language that we use, and also that practical information about living in the UK. Also, you'll want to interact with other like-minded individuals, and this course allows you to do that. You can message people, you can ask questions. So please do think about registering. The link details are there, and I'm sure Lizzie and the team will put them up for you on this chat. Thank you very much, Sandra. So let's go into the next section on our list today. So first of all, travelling to the UK. I'm sure that's always on your mind, that journey to a new destination. So what do I pack in my main luggage? A big thing to think about. And what to pack in your carry-on luggage, and definitely what not to pack. So I think those are really key items. Okay, thank you, Sandra. So what to pack in your main luggage? Remember, we are a country of seasons. So hopefully you will arrive in autumn, and we can have lovely days in autumn, but we can also have colder days. So really think about that. So you'll probably need something for that autumnal season in the UK. We also have winter from December to February, so you will need that big coat because it will drop down to lower temperatures. And then spring could be more optimistic, and we can have lovely temperatures. And then summer, who knows what happens in summer? It can be lovely and hot, but it also can rain as well. So what I would suggest to do is bring layers, because then at least you can definitely add if it gets a bit colder, or remove a layer if it gets a little bit warmer. We also suggest bringing a few sets of formal wear. You might need these if you go into any dinners or anything at the university. And international, we always love to see international students in traditional wear as well. So if you want to bring your traditional costumes or traditional wear, please feel free to do so. I would also suggest, if you are on medication, to ensure that you take enough with you. It's really important. We can get prescriptions in the UK, that's not a problem, but you will need your prescription as soon as you arrive in the UK. So please make sure you've packed that as well. Thank you, Sandra. So you carry on luggage, it's the luggage that you can take onto the plane. So you obviously need your passport and visa with you, your travel ticket and departure details, and then everything to do with your university acceptance. So your letters, your confirmation of your accommodation, whether that's for the first night or for the duration of your stay in the UK, and then your medical insurance. You will need copies of your bank drafts, information about your bank accounts, the contact details, really important that you have those contact details with you, information about your airport train station where you're going to be picked up if that's required, and then some UK money to cover your immediate needs. You'll all be thinking about opening a bank account, and we'll discuss that soon, but always please have some UK currency for those first few days. And it's always good, as I said before, to have save those digital copies, yes, on your phone, but have a printed out version as well, because you never know when you might need it. Thank you. So moving on, what not to pack. And I think this is something that we really do need to think about, because we don't want you to get stopped as you're coming into the UK. So please make sure that any banned and restricted items, you can find that on all these travel websites, but obviously drugs, weapons, indecent materials, pepper spray, anything like that, please do not pack it. I know it goes without saying, but sometimes it's just to remind yourself. And then restricted foods. All meats and meat products are not allowed. All milk and dairy products, potatoes, fruit and vegetables, egg products, fish and fishery products. For more information, please do go to the government website that's listed here about what you can bring into the UK and what you can't. So please do reflect on that as you're packing up. Thank you, Sandra. So we've actually travelled to the UK now, and now we're going to arrive in the UK. So you need to think about what it's like when you enter the UK, get into your place of study, registering your stay, settling in and adjusting to life, because that's a massive thing to do, and then travel and what it's like to get around the UK. Thank you, Sandra. So entering the UK. There are not currently any COVID-19 restrictions in place for entering the UK, but remember to check any guidance for departing your home country and any country you transit through. So a lot of you will transit through another country, so please consider those restrictions there. Always check the latest travel advice as well before you travel. You might check now, but it might change by the time you travel. So always keep that in mind as you're going through. And then universities. They are a great font of all knowledge, so please do touch base with them, ask them any questions that you're concerned about, and also refer to the Study UK website as well. We will put guidance up there where appropriate. Thank you. So arriving in the UK, I think it's always when you get off your plane and you think, what's going to happen when I get through the airport? So always follow the arrival signs to immigration or passport control. So always have arrivals in your mind as you're coming from the plane and into the airport. After passing immigration or passport control, you move onwards to the baggage reclaim and to collect your luggage. This might take a bit of time, so don't be worried if you stood there and nothing's happening. It can take a bit of time. And then you move on to customs control. So customs control, there's two lanes. You will either go through the green lane, as it says there, and that's customs, you've got nothing to declare. Or if you are carrying something that you're not really sure about, please go through the red lane, and then they will advise you as you're walking through. So those are the two things that you need to go through. And then you exit using the correct lane. Thank you. So we've gone through the airport, and now we're thinking about how do I get to my place of study. So keep your university informed of your travel plans. They like to know when you're arriving, and always keep that contact details in your hand luggage as well. You need to check if your institution offers a pickup service. A lot of institutions will pick you up at the airport. Some might pick you up at the train station. So please ask that question. It's not unreasonable to think that somebody might pick you up. So please be prepared to ask that. And I'm sure there'll be some sort of service or guidance from the university. And then tickets for travel. So, and most taxi service will accept payment by credit or debit card. But as I said before, you might want to bring some British currency with you. So you can also access UK money through an ATM as well. So when you get to the airport, you can use your card and you will be able to access currency there. Thank you. So registering your stay. So when you arrive in the UK, you might need to register your stay. So that is collecting your biometric residence permit within 10 days of arrival and you might have to register with the police within 7 days of getting your BRP. This might be changing over the next few weeks, so please do look into that. And if I do hear anything, I will share the information with colleagues overseas and they'll be able to give you that updated information. But it's always worth checking that link there, registering with the police. You will also need to register with your place of study. So when you arrive in your destination, whether it's a city or at the university town, please register with your university and advise them that you're here and you're looking forward to starting your studies. There will be a process that you have to complete, but they will advise you as you go through it. Thank you. So we are here, we've arrived in the UK and we're going to study now. So we're going to look at student safety, teaching, career support and what's going to happen after your studies. So let's first focus on student safety. So student safety remains top priority in the UK, and as a mother, that is something that I would be really concerned about. What is it like for my child to go to the UK? Will it be safe? And I promise you that universities put that as their priority. So dedicated staff in all universities will be there to support international students. Hand sanitizer is widely available across all campuses, and if you would prefer to, face coverings are advised in crowded spaces as well. But your university would advise what the current requirement is. Some universities have measures in place to make sure campuses are clean and compliant with government guidelines. And if you do have any concerns, please speak to a member of the university. Always contact your university with any questions about safety, but you can also look at the Study UK website where you might be able to get some general guidance as well. Visit the COVID-19 information page across all the 4 nations of the UK, and that will be more specific information to the country where you're studying. So England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland might have slightly different requirements, and those sites there, those website links there, will be able to give you the most up-to-date information you need. Thank you, Sandra. So what does teaching at a UK university look like? You've all come from an academic environment. It might be from a school environment, it might be from a university environment. But what do universities in the UK expect? So universities are preparing to deliver high quality teaching this academic year. It will be face-to-face. There may be options to learn online, but we are preparing for face-to-face teaching. The UK has removed all those COVID-19 restrictions, so all classes will be taught in person. But student wellbeing is still a #1 priority. And during your time at university, if you're ever struggling or you've got any questions, your university support staff are there to help you. So always contact your university for advice. And if you've got any concerns about your course or personal circumstances, the university is your first point of call. They'll be able to help you quicker than anybody else. Obviously, you'll have a support network around you, but the university will be able to give you that first guidance and that first support. Thank you. I think when you come to the UK, you're often coming with a career in mind. What that will be, who knows, but we are often coming with, I would like to do this after I finished my degree. So there's a huge variety of support on offer in a UK university. There are dedicated careers advisors who will be able to suggest things, who might be able to say, why don't you consider this while you're still studying this course? Universities also have job and careers fairs to help you connect with prospective employers, whether they are in the UK or whether they are from an international company. And many professors are industry leaders, so you won't just be dealing with academic people at university. You might be have a lecturer who is a professional in that subject. They will be actually from industry and they will be giving you that advice. So please think about work placements, internships, and even that voluntary work is always so key for the next stage. Use these services throughout your studies. It's not something to think about as you're graduating, it's something to think about throughout your studying process. Think about, can I actually do a placement? Should I do an internship? And make sure you consider this as you go through your education. Thank you. So what happens after your studies? I know you're thinking, well, I've only not even got to the UK yet, but sometimes it's worth just thinking about what's going to happen at the end of my education. So you could go into further study, and that's possible. You might like the university a lot and see that they've got other options for study ahead. You could return to Singapore to work, and that's a perfectly good option. You want to put those practical skills into place, and you want to give something back to your country. You could work elsewhere in the world, and there's so many options in that, but you could also stay and work in the UK. If you want to remain in the UK to gain work experience, there are some options for you. You may have already heard about the graduate route, and that welcomes international students to apply to stay in the UK and work or look for work. So it doesn't have to be that you have a job offer. It's about looking for work after you have graduated. And that could be either for 2 or 3 years. So what I would suggest is there's a link there about visas and immigration. Please have a look at that, and it will tell you the requirements for the graduate route. There are also other types of visas as well, and that's called the skilled worker route, and that's very much specific types of employment such as healthcare. Thank you, Sandra. So living in the UK, what is it like to live in the UK? Those first few days are always a bit unsettling, but what will it be like when I'm actually fully ingrained into living in the UK, and what should I expect? So we're going to look at accommodation, money and managing your finances, UK culture, and food and drink. Thank you, Sandra. So settling in and adjusting to UK life. The UK is a really friendly country. Many people will help you adjust to your way of life, whether it's somebody at the university or whether it's somebody in the community around the university. So be prepared for the food. The way our transport works, it might be different for what it's like in Singapore, and please do prepare for the British weather. Sometimes you can't underestimate what it's going to be like, but please do have things in mind to prepare for that weather. Thank you, Sandra. Travel and accessible transport. Travel and transport options in the UK vary by location. So depending on whether you're in a city or whether you're in a campus university, those options will vary. We do have good road and rail networks, bus and taxi services, as well as many internal flights between UK airports. But it is recommended that you still wear a face covering on public transport when you're travelling around. For more information about travelling, please go to the Study UK website. The link there will take you to guidance and advice about living in different parts of the UK. And if you do need advice on accessible transport, we do provide guidance on the Study UK website too. Thank you. So accommodation, I always think with students, if the accommodation is settled and they feel settled in their accommodation, they are then ready to enjoy their experience. So talk to your university about your options as soon as possible. Don't leave it to the last minute. You've got time now to secure accommodation. You need to be confident that when you arrive in the UK, you've got some student accommodation ready for you. So you can find guidance on the university website, or alternatively, we also provide some top-level guidance on Study UK as well. What a university accommodation will be like is that extra level of support and security. So if you're concerned about needing a bit more support, or you want to feel really secure in your accommodation, where you know that there'll be lots of people around you, university accommodation might be the best option. However, if you want a bit of flexibility, or you want to live independently, or you want to be on your own, or you want to move with a group of friends, private accommodation is also available. So please consider that if that's an option that you'd like to take. But I can't stress this enough. Start thinking about accommodation as soon as possible, as soon as you've got your confirmed offer, because there's going to be so many options and you want to make sure you make the right one for you. Thank you, Sandra. Next slide, please. Managing your finances is a big consideration. You definitely want to open a bank account as soon as you arrive in the UK. So please look at what we're advising on the Study UK website. Don't bring lots of money. I did say bring some money to get you through the first few days, but please don't bring large amounts of cash. Card and contactless payments are absolutely available across the UK. So please, if you've got a credit card or you've got a debit card or whatever it is, you can use those in the UK. Thank you. So living costs will vary across the different types of accommodation you go for and how much travel is and where you are in the UK. If you're in London, Edinburgh, it will be expensive, so please do bear that in mind. But if you're in some parts of the UK, for instance, Northern Ireland, it might be relatively cheaper, and it might be that your money goes that little bit further. So it's really important that you are realistic about what it's going to be like and what those living costs are. Of course, we have advice on the Study UK website, but you need to be realistic about what your budget is and what those costs are going to be like. As a bit of a rule of thumb, I often say to international students, your accommodation should be half of your monthly budget. So whatever your accommodation costs are, you could almost guarantee that you probably spend the other half of it on your living costs as well. So just bear all this in mind when you're planning your budget. Thank you, Sandra. So I think I've probably gone through this already, but the cost of living varies about where you want to live. You should expect to budget between about £800 and £1,300 to cover your rent and bills, entertainment and other living costs. Your university will be able to advise you on where to get more detailed local costs of living, and they may be able to tell you where it's good to shop locally as well. But again, please go to the link there on the Study UK website. Thank you. Student discounts will be all over the place. I've got 2 older children who are very much good at looking what student discounts are available, and they access all this all the time. So please do consider that. And by joining the National Union of Students, you'll be able to get that discount off shops, restaurants and businesses. There's also other cards as well that have the links there. But you also, if you're thinking about travelling around the UK, this is a great opportunity to explore what the UK has to offer. So please apply for a discount rail card. It means that your transport will be a lot more cheaper and you'll be able to see as much of the UK as you would like to. Thank you. So culture and leisure, there'll be lots available on campus. There'll be clubs, societies. There'll be loads of teams that you can join. The student union will be organising all kinds of social functions. So please do look what is available at your university. Thank you, Sandra. But your university isn't the only place where you're going to have a good time. Off campus, we have so much wealth of culture and arts and music to share with you. So the UK is packed with museums, theatres, other cultural attractions just waiting to be discovered. So if you do decide to buy your rail card, you can perhaps explore the UK and go to see those arts, events, culture, music. There's so many good things happening out there. And cinema is a massive thing as well in the UK. And I'm not sure if there's any sport fanatics on this call, but there's so much sport. With the Premier League starting again tomorrow, there's so much out there for everybody. Thank you. And food and drink, I'm sure you're worried about that. And I think if I was coming from a wonderful country like Singapore, I would be worried about what it's like to buy food and everything in the UK. So you can find all kinds of international food and cuisines in the UK. So we have a large array of different restaurants, takeaways and food halls. So you will be able to buy a lot of food that you would like to use for cooking. And there are lots of specialist food shops as well. So all pubs, bars and restaurants offer a wide range of non-alcoholic drinks, but if you would like to drink alcohol, you must be over the age of 18. There's an array of supermarkets there that you can see on this slide, and also we have a lot of restaurants that will deliver as well to your accommodation. You could also try a meal kit supplier. This is quite popular in the UK, where a supplier will send you all the ingredients to make a dish that you're really interested in making. It's an opportunity to start cooking if you've never done it before. And you can drink the tap water in the UK. Everybody does. Everybody has those bottles that you can refill, and everybody uses them all the time. Thank you. I think I'm coming to the end of my section now, but very quickly, it's about looking after yourself. And that's our priority here in the Study UK campaign. That yes, you do have a good time, but it's really important that you look after yourself in the meantime. So in terms of health and advice, Sandra, thank you. The next slide. That's something that we really need to think about. So where can I get that help and advice? So at a university, I know this seems to be the same message, but your university is your first point of call. Student welfare service, a tutor, a lecturer, a personal academic supervisor, but also turn to the international office. They will understand some of the things that you're deliberating, and they will be able to give you that sort of advice that you need. Accommodation officers and student unions will be able to do the same. But we've also highlighted a couple of charities there, a couple of advice places that will be able to support you through those questions that you may have. But please never be afraid to reach out for support. Thank you, Sandra. The NHS is a wonderful organisation. It's a wonderful way of allowing everybody to have access to healthcare. So as part of your visa application, you will pay an immigration surcharge, but what that will allow you to do is gain access to medical care offered at no upfront cost by the NHS. So you'll be able to consult a GP, and that's a general practitioner, and that's a doctor in a surgery, and they'll be able to give you advice on physical and mental issues. We also have accident and emergency services, and they'll be able to diagnose any sexually transmitted diseases or getting a COVID vaccination as well. So please do register with a GP when you arrive in the UK. Thank you, Sandra. So other charges on top of that, so most things will be free, but there will be some things that you will have to pay for. And this includes some medicines prescribed by the doctor. So you will have to pay those. Everybody in the UK pays for their medicines. So please do, if a doctor gives you medicines or something, you might need to pay for them. Eye tests and eye care, we do have to pay a basic fee, and dental care as well. Vaccinations, although some are free, including the vaccine for COVID, you might have to pay for travel vaccines if you need them. Thank you. So please register with a local doctor. The university will give you perhaps an address or a contact for the local student medical centre, and you will need your passport, student identification, proof of address, and a photograph as well. And a GP can refer you to any National Health Service dentist as well. If you're wondering about the NHS or you want to find out a bit more information, the 4 links there will give you that advice you need. It's going to be slightly different in England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, so please do refer to the correct one. Thank you. The COVID-19 vaccine. International students can access the COVID-19 vaccine in the UK. So if you do need a booster or you do need a new vaccine, please do. You are eligible to get one, and regardless of your nationality or immigration status, you are eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine. However, you will need to have registered with the GP to get that NHS number that will enable you to get the vaccine. Thank you. And then personal safety. So the UK is a very safe country with low levels of crime and violence, but staff at your university will be able to help you with any concerns. You will see, and I think this picture demonstrates it, community police officers or campus-based security staff will be around perhaps in the town or at the university, and they will be able to give you practical, reassuring advice about personal safety. But please make sure you attend the orientation course at your university, because they will go through these safety assurances with you. And we also refer to this staying safe in the UK, which will give you detailed information about keeping safe. Thank you. So in case of emergencies, you can call 999, and I must stress this is for an emergency only, and that's to access the police, fire and ambulance services. If it's non-emergency, but you still want to get some advice, please call 101. And for those medical non-emergencies as well, you might just want to speak to a health practitioner, you can call 111. So please note these numbers down. Thank you. So I think this might be my last slide, but just abiding by UK law, you need to follow local rules and national laws. The UK is proud to be a diverse country, but you should respect all people and cultures, and failure to follow those laws could lead to a fine or a cancellation of your visa. So please do bear this in mind. Thank you very much, Sandra. So any questions? I think I have referred to the Study UK website as you are going through this journey. So please do refer back to the Study UK website. But if you do have any questions, please go to your country officers in Singapore. They will be able to give you that advice, or alternatively, if you message the Study UK team, they will be able to support you as well. It's been a pleasure to present at this briefing today. And if you do have any further questions, please do get in touch with the British Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. That was a lot of information, but
there was a lot of information, Sandy, yes.
So just to reassure everybody that we are recording the session and we will be sharing these slides with you as well. Elizabeth is only going to be able to stay with us for another 20 minutes. So Elizabeth, while you're here, if we could just ask you, there are lots of questions coming through, and if you could reply to a few of them before you go, then that'd be really helpful. But if not, then we'll make sure that we get back to you and you know, reply to your questions. So let's move on very quickly now. Let me introduce Ms. Vivian Yu from the UKVI, the UK Visas and Immigration, and she will share with us the latest updates on visa and travel matters. Vivian, over to you.
Thank you, Lizzie. Hello, everyone. Before I start my session, I would like to thank British Council for inviting UK Visa and Immigration and for organizing this event. I just want to introduce myself very quickly. My name is Vivian, and I'm a customer account manager from UKVI. I'm based in Beijing. For today, I'll be discussing something that you need to know about the student visa. You're going to be receiving a copy of this slide later. I've linked all of the relevant information from our website. You can check out before or during your visa application process. Okay, next slide, please. As a quick introduction, I'd just like to say that the presentation will cover the application process from end to end. We'll also be discussing some updates on the visa application processing time. We'll go over the student visa supporting document checklist and also some common reasons for refusal that I've experienced in the past. And we'll go over really quickly about on the post-study options that are currently in place for people who have finished their studies in the UK. And finally, I will just touch on the current guideline for traveler entering UK. Next slide. For the visa application process, UKVI kind of divide into 3 steps. It will mostly depend on the kind of activities that you're going to do in the UK. So each category has its own dedicated web page or guidance page on the gov.uk. That will list down all of the activities that you're allowed to do or you are not allowed to do under that visa category. It will also list down all of the supporting documents that UKVI will expect you to submit with your visa application. So it's at this stage that UKVI would highly encourage customer or applicants to prepare the necessary supporting documents just to make sure that everything goes smoothly once everything is in the place. I believe that a lot of people are waiting for their CAS letter. We highly recommend it for students to prepare all the other supporting documents that are needed for the application while waiting, just so that when the CAS letter come around or get sent to you, you can submit the application as quickly as possible so that you can give UKVI enough time to process this application before your course starts. Also, on our website, under each category, you are going to be directed to a link that takes you to the online application form that where the applicant can fill up the online application. The most common feedback that I got is the application form is very long with a lot of details and questions. It's because some places are no longer required applicants to come in for a face-to-face interview. Everything that assessing officer will use to decide on is a visa application and all the details and the supporting documents. So please make sure to complete the applicant as completely accuracy as possible, just to avoid yourself any kind of problem, and incorrect information might lead to a negative decision. After you complete the application form online, you're going to be taken to a payment page. You're going to be asked to pay your visa fee and any other fees that are relevant to your visa category. Afterwards, you're going to transfer to the website of our third-party service provider, VFS website. At this point, if you have already prepared all your supporting documents from step 1, then you can go ahead and self-scan all the documents on the system. After that, is going to take into the appointment management system, where you're going to booking your appointment for step 3. Step 3 is where the applicant has to come into the visa application center, which we call VAC, to submit the biometric information. So on your appointment at the VAC, the staff is going to take your photo and collect your fingerprint. That they also going to take your passport. They will keep your passport while your visa application is being processed. If you didn't choose the self-service option for self-scan and self-upload all the supporting documents, you can bring your supporting documents with you on the date of your appointment, and the staff from the VAC can help to scan it for you. But this is a chargeable service. It's going to be an extra fee. Next slide, please. Speaking of the application center in Singapore, is currently being managed by our third-party service provider, VFS Global. They have one VAC in Singapore. I listed the address here and the operation hour on the screen. But as you know, things do change quickly with any situation of the pandemic, lockdown to happen and restriction. So it's all happened very, very quickly. So I would highly suggest that you visit their website. I also linked at the end of our, my PPT. So if there's any changes that you need to know, and you will just get that at once. They also list some additional, like the add value service, such as Keep My Passport service, which that allow you to keep your passport while your visa application is ongoing. It's a chargeable service, but they have a lot of service that you can choose that might make your customer journey a little bit more comfortable with your visa application. Next slide, please. For the visa processing time, many students worry about that. Under normal circumstances in Singapore, UKVI offers 2 standard services. One is for the decision should be made on a application within 15 working days. Another one is the option for customer to upgrade to priority service. Decide will be made on within 5 working days. However, if you go to the link I provide on the bottom on this page, you can see more explanation. Please show next slide. Because of the conflict in Ukraine, UKVI has suspended temporarily the priority service for new study, work, and family visa application. A customer can still avail of this service if they are applying for visitor visa application, which currently take an average of 6 weeks to process. You are not required to book any travel before you apply or before a decision is made on your application. You will only be refunded if you have not started processing your application. That means you can ask for refund before you take a biometric. We do apologize for the inconvenience. It's just that at this moment, we cannot process this application quickly enough to charge customer to pay the priority service fee. So what this means for you, after this presentation, applicants for student visa applicants are not yet able to upgrade the priority service. So this is the standard decision-making time for processing application, about 3 weeks. We do apologize for this inconvenience. About the general advice from UKVI is submit application as quickly as possible. As I mentioned, if you already have the supporting document or maybe you don't have it yet, then you can start preparing the supporting document that when the CAS letter get released later this month, you can go ahead and submit the application as quickly as possible. Next slide, please. If you want to study in the UK, there are 3 visa categories that are available for you. So it depends on how long you're going to be studied in the UK. So if you're going to be studying in the UK for less than 6 months, you can probably do it under the standard visitor visa. If you are studying an English language course that lasts 6 to 11 months, you have to go on the short-term study visa. But if you are studying in the UK longer than 6 months and you are going to be studying with a licensed student sponsor, you have to apply for a student visa. Next slide, please. So for the student visa, there are certain eligibilities that you have to check before you can apply. So the first one is age. You have to be 16 years older or old or over in order to be eligible for the student visa. If you're younger than 16 and you're going to study a course longer than 6 months with a licensed sponsor, you have to go for the child student visa, which is kind of similar, but they do have additional requirements for the document. Provide CAS letter to prove that licensed student sponsor keep a place for you on a course. You must have to show you have enough money to support yourself and pay for your course. So you have to show financial document that you are able to support yourself for accommodation. If you are going to be studying for a year, you have to show that you have enough money to maintain yourself in the UK for at least 9 months. How much you have to show depends on where you're going to be studying. There are going to be different maintenance for people who are studying inside and outside London. You must also show that you have enough money to cover your course, and the course fee are stated on the CAS. You would need to prove your knowledge of English by passing a secure English language test. If you're under 18 years old, UKVI would expect you to submit a signed consent letter by your legal guardians or your parents, especially stating that they're allowing you to study in the UK. You can extend your visa if you are eligible. You can also switch to a student visa from another visa category. However, you cannot switch student visa from a standard visitor visa. After you study, you can switch to the graduate route or work visa. Next slide, please. So, for what you can do under student visa, obviously you're allowed to study. You may be able to work. For example, as a student union officer, students are usually allowed to either work 10 hours per week or 20 hours per week, depending on the course or also depending on the school that you have applied to. You may be able to bring dependent with you, but this is limited to partners, husbands or wives, and the children. What you cannot do, you cannot claim the public funds. You cannot work in certain jobs. For example, if you're going to be a professional sports person or a coach, you have to go and apply for a different visa category. You cannot be self-employed, so you cannot start your own business under the student visa. You cannot study as an academic or at a local authority-funded school. So when you can travel to the UK, it depends on your course. If your course lasts less than 6 months, your visa will be most likely valid 7 days before your course start date. If your course lasts longer than 6 months, you're probably going to be given up to 1 month before your course. And how much does it cost applying for a student visa? Outside UK is £363, and for the people who are going to apply within the UK is £490. Thank you. Next slide. As you can see that Singapore is on this list as a part of the list are not required to submit the financial document with visa application. And any of the document that listed on the CAS, you are not required to submit copy of that with your application as well. However, this is only applicable to Singapore nationals who are going to apply within their home country or the home territory. So Singaporean applying for student visa within Singapore. So if you're applying from outside of Singapore, you will not qualify for differentiation. You need to submit everything with a visa application. I just like to put out the disclaimer that even though you are not required to submit these documents with application, the UKVI officer still holds the right to request copies of this from you. So the UKVI officer, for whatever reason, choose to ask you to provide copies of the financial documents as well as maybe your diploma as listed on your CAS. You will be contacted through email that you listed on your online application form. And you're going to be given 5 business days to submit copies of the request documents. If you fail to submit the request document within the deadline, the decision maker or assessment officer will process with your application without the request support document. It will likely lead to a refusal. So please, before you submit your application, just have everything ready just in case that the officer will ask for. Next slide, please. So moving on to the supporting document checklist. First is ATAS certification. It's also called Advanced Technology Academic Scheme. It's not a requirement for all students, but it's a requirement for people who are studying certain sensitive course. For the students who need to provide ATAS will show on the CAS. So the next 2 items on the list, the parental consent in the group of parent-child relationship are requirements for people who are under 18. So if you are under 18, as I mentioned before, UKVI would expect to see a signed consent letter, especially stating parents or legal guardians are allowing to travel to the UK and study there. They would expect to see proof of the relations with the EU visa application. So would accept birth certificates or family registers or adoption papers. Next 2 items you don't need to provide with your visa application. They are not required for students with the Singapore nationality. However, again, please have them ready just in case a assessing officer asks for them. We would also expect to see previous BRP card if applicable. If a document is not in English or Welsh, the applicant must provide a full certified translation from a professional translator or translation company that can be independently verified by the Home Office. The translation must include all of the following information. They must include confirmation that is an accurate translation of the document, the date of the translation, the full name, and the signature of the translator or an official from the translation company, the translator or translation company's contact details. Okay, next slide. For dependent, just very quickly, you may be able to bring dependent with you. However, you must have one of the three. Like you must is the full-time student on a postgraduate level course that lasts 9 months or longer, or your government sponsored student on a course that lasts longer than 6 months, or a doctorate extension student. So only those three types of students are able to bring dependents with them. And the student visa has strictly limited to husband or the civil partners or married partners and children under 18. What kind of document will UKVI expect to see with their visa application? The financial document UKVI expect to see a proof that the dependent are able to support themselves while they were in the UK. If the dependent apply with the main applicant, then the dependent applicant follow the same rule as the main applicant. If the main applicant don't need to provide financial document, UKVI don't expect the dependent applicant provide financial approval too. If they apply separately, then UKVI would like to see the financial supporting document of the dependent visa application. So if their application is successful, their visa will end on the same day as main applicant. Thank you. Next slide. Once your visa application has been proceed, and if you are issued visa, you're going to be getting your passport back, as well as you're going to receive a BRP letter on your passport. There's going to be a veneer of the visa that has been issued to you, and it's going to be valid for 90 days. You have to enter the UK within 90 days and collect your BRP card at the address provided on the BRP letter to you. If you fail to travel to the UK within the visa valid date, you have to apply for a different visa category. It's called a veneer transfer. After that, you will be issued another length of veneer or visa. It's going to be valid for another 90 days. That will allow you to enter the UK to collect your BRP card. You will be given 10 days upon arrival to collect your BRP card. Actually, it's a list of common reasons for refusal. Basically, it's all about not provide the true document, or not provide the correct document, or even not provide document at all. That will all add the risk of refusal. So please make sure you get fully well prepared. And on the slide 15, UK has a number of employment opportunities for university students when they will complete their studies. The new graduate route has opened it for application on 1st July last year, allowing the UK to retain the brightest and the best international students to continue to contribute to society. And the post-study option is to apply for one of the following. Oh, sorry. The graduate route. Oh, there you go. Oh, no, sorry. The graduate route has opened for applications on the 1st July last year, allowing UK to maintain the best international student to contribute. If the students don't want to apply to that graduate route, and there are some other options for them to choose. One is long-term work visa or short-term work visa, or apply to be an innovator or investor in the UK. The major of student visa application are given additional 4 months after their course ends. So it is allowed the student to travel with the UK, explore the future studies, or to search for a job in the UK. And for next slide 16, is I listed all the international travel guidance. Anybody entering England after March 18 don't have to do anything, basically back to normal. So no more quarantine, no more pre-departure, or like no more tests requirement. However, I want to say that still students need to make themselves safe and to keep the distance with the crowded. I list the link here, and I hope the student can check out just before you travel to make sure that you're up to date with the most related information. And next slide. Sorry, let me see. Yeah, next slide is I list all the links that I think it is useful for the student, and it's including like the BRP card website. If your BRP is lost or destroyed, then you have to register and claim a new one as soon as possible. And also some other, like all the kind of student visa related, at least there. I hope students can keep it and check frequently and see if there's any a new policy coming out. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivian. Sorry about that, and sorry everyone on the call as well. We had a little bit of a technical glitch there. Vivian, there are lots of visa-related questions which are coming through, so if you could just switch on to the Q&A and try to answer as many of those as possible. But let's quickly move on. We are running a little behind time now. Apologies again. So let me introduce now Huawei, Regional Director of the Singapore Global Network, and she's going to tell us about when you are in the UK, don't feel that you are away from Singapore. We've still got family and friends and fans of Singapore out there in the UK as well, and Bahu is going to tell us more about this network. Over to you, Bahu.
Great. Thank you so much, Lizzie. And of course, thank you very much to the British Council team for having me here today. So what I'm going to do for the next couple of minutes is just to very briefly introduce who we are. If you haven't heard of the Singapore Global Network, that's what I'm here to do today, to familiarize you all with what we do at the Singapore Global Network and why you should stay connected with us. So we are a division of the Singapore Economic Development Board. So we are a government agency situated in the Ministry of Trade and Industry. And essentially what we do at the Singapore Global Network is to grow Singapore's international networks with fans, friends, and family of Singapore all around the globe. So this naturally includes Singaporeans, wherever you might be in Singapore, venturing out, or you're looking to return home to Singapore. We're glad to welcome all of you on board this network. So what we're here to do is to help build relationships across our networks throughout the world, and to create opportunities where members in our network can come together to get to know each other better, facilitate ideas, thought leadership, talent connections, innovation, and so forth. So it's a big network that we're talking about here. And myself, I am the regional director for the SGN. So I'm based in London, and I oversee our engagement efforts for the UK as well as Ireland. More concretely, you might be wondering, so what is it about the Singapore Global Network that might be useful to me for all of you in the audience here today? Well, think of us as your friend from Singapore. When you're here in the UK, on top of connecting with your respective Singapore societies, the British Council, and so forth, think of the Singapore Global Network as an additional touch point to developments and news from Singapore, as well as a means for you to get to network and meet with the wider community of Singapore family and friends, wherever you might be. So we offer information and content across all of our platforms that will keep you updated on whatever's happening in Singapore, as well as members of our network. And by signing up with us and being a part of our network, you will also get access to events and initiatives that we run. So we have a whole host of virtual events as well as physical events here in the UK. These include career and recruitment events, networking events, dialogue sessions, social events, and so forth that will really help bring you all together wherever you might be. And of course, by joining us, you'll be part of our growing global community. Today, we are close to 70,000 strong all around the world. Apart from myself in the UK, we have our members all across in the US, in China, as well as in Australia, Southeast Asia, you name it, we're growing. So we have also resources to help members stay connected to each other. I'm just going to touch on these resources and some of these events in the forthcoming slides. For students, we have the Singapore Global Network Funding Program, or SGNFP. So this will be very familiar to Singapore societies. As we know, the student societies here in the UK, we have a very vibrant and large community of Singaporean students who are always looking at running events on the ground to help bring their communities together. Or perhaps you could be from a university with a small group of Singaporeans looking to see how you could get something started. So SGNFP is for you. It is essentially a funding program that seeks to support physical and digital initiatives that help to promote a sense of connection and community to Singapore. The funding program is here to help you jumpstart sharing between Singaporeans and all friends of Singapore. Anybody is welcome, really, with that interest in Singapore, and to share updates with one another to create reasons to come together with Singapore at the very heart of it. So this is available not only to individuals, but also groups which might be interested in starting something, for example, with your orientations, when you're looking to run certain festive celebrations and so forth. National Day is just around the corner. I'll touch on that in a bit. Check out our website, singaporeglobalnetwork.gov.sg/resources, where you'll find our funding program and all of our criteria and guidelines. All right, so bear with me here. I'm just going to be doing a little shout out. So one example of an event that's upcoming for us is Singapore at Home. As we all know, Singapore is about to celebrate her 57th birthday just around the corner here. The Singapore Global Network is once again running our virtual extravaganza called Singapore at Home, where we'll be celebrating Singapore's National Day with members all around the world with a really big bang. So you can expect performances by beloved local celebrities like Annette Lee and Benjamin King, as well as Siti Khadijah, Hossan Leong, and so forth. There'll be prizes to be won. There's a lot that you can look forward to. We will begin with a live stream that will premiere globally at 10 a.m. on 6th of August, which is tomorrow rather. Okay, too excited. Tomorrow. So we'll begin tomorrow with our live stream, and it will be available on demand until the 9th of August. So anybody from anywhere across the globe can tune in for Singapore at Home anytime across the weekend at your own viewing pleasure. So to check this out, it's go.gov.sg/SG at home. It's not too late to sign up still, wherever you might be, if you want to check out what it's like and what some of the events which SGN runs might be like. Okay, so I'm on to my final slide already. I hope you all have some sense of what we do at the Singapore Global Network. So my final call out, do join our mailing list to stay in touch with members of our network, as well as back home to Singapore. We want to reach out to you, to journey along with you as you transition from being a student in the UK to working over the longer term. Sign up with us to get plugged into our community. So I've dropped the link there, singaporeglobalnetwork.gov.sg/join-us. And of course, you can find us on social media. We post lots of fun and exciting things. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, even TikTok. So I hope to see you all. Thank you so much. And I wish you all the best in your journey to the UK.
Thank you, Bao. That was, again, some exciting stuff to listen to, including Singapore at Home coming up. So, and thank you for stepping in while we have those technical issues. Thanks again.
Not at all. Thank you so much.
And now let's move on to UKSSC. Zinchin, we are happy that you're back with us now. So let's quickly go into the UKSSC and how the SingSocs and all the students who are currently from Singapore studying in the UK are going to be part of your support network while you're studying in the UK. Over to you, Zinchin.
Yeah, thank you, Lizzie. And thank you to the British Council for inviting the United Kingdom Student Council, United Kingdom Singapore Student Council, or UKSSC, to this pre-departure meeting. So I'm Sing Chen, the president of the UKSSC. So today I will be giving an introduction to what UKSSC does. Next slide, please. Right, so this is our vision and mission for UKSSC. Our vision is to foster a vibrant Singapore student community here in the UK. So, in our mission, we want to promote inter-society interactions and collaboration between students and to represent the interests of Singaporean students in the UK. So what do I mean here? I'll be explaining a little bit more about what are some of the events we have as we move on. Right, next slide, please. So these are the EXCO members that I work with. So we have two vice presidents. One is Natalie, who is in charge of the South and Greater London region, and we have Brian, who is in charge of the Midlands, North and Scotland, and Northern Ireland. So we also have our function-specific directors. We have Nikesh as our secretary, Ting is our finance director, Vanessa as our communications director, and we have Shikang, our technology director. Yep, next slide, please. Besides for those EXCO members, we also have some regional directors who work very closely with our vice presidents to connect with SingSocs or Singaporeans in universities in certain regions to organize and also to organize events for the students. So for the South Greater London, we have Shiyin and Win as our regional director. And for Midlands, North, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, we have Amanda, Gabriel, and Win as our regional director. Yep, next please. So very quickly on what we do. So here we have four main functions. So firstly, we want to integrate the Singapore students, new Singapore students into the UK community through events like the Students Insider section, which we just held with the British Council. And also, we want to connect students with the Singapore societies in the UK. So if you need any help with connecting to your SingSocs, please feel free to reach out to us. We will put you in touch with them. Yep, and next we have our inter-SingSocs bonding. We don't just want to get the Singapore students to connect with each other within their society. We want to get the SingSocs to connect with each other as well, one another as well. So how do we do that? We do that through events like the regional leaders meeting and also through regional dinners and lunch meetups. Yep. So next, we also have some, previous slide, please. Yeah, that's one, that one. So for the thirdly, what we do is we also provide some guidance and support, such as the COVID-19 guidance and travel guidance. All this guidance and support comes from authorities like the British Council, Singapore HiCom, and the Singapore Global Network. Lastly, we also share some career opportunities, such as through events such as the Global Fireside Chat, where we have stars from Google to come down and talk to students who may be interested in the career in Google. We also have our flagship event called Through the Generations, where we invite companies to come down and chat with our students. Yep, next please. All right, so I've been talking about SingSocs. So what are SingSocs? So SingSocs are societies within each universities. there are student-led organizations for integrating Singapore students community at university level. So some of them, especially the bigger one, they do organize bonding events all year round, such as some of them actually organize some sporting event in their region, and they invited universities in their region to come down and join them. Next, they also provide exclusive uni-level career opportunities for Singaporean students. And lastly, they also provide targeted school and course-specific information and guidance for the students. So if you need any help, you can reach out to the SingSoc in your university as well. Yep, next please. Yeah, so as you can see, we have quite a few SingSoc partners in all over the UK. Yep, so if you need to reach out to any of them, please feel free to get in touch with us. We'll put you in touch with them. Yep, next please. Besides from the SingSocs, we also connect with some of the interest group and alumni groups in the UK, such as for the interest group, we have groups such as the Singapore Medical Society of the United Kingdom, and also the United Kingdom Singapore Law Student Society. Also for the alumni group, we have groups such as the Dunman High School, Youth Alumni, Represent Unite, and Hwa Chong Overseas Support Group. If you're interested in joining any of them, yeah, you can let us know as well, or you can go directly to them. Right, next slide, please. Yep, we also have some corporate partners, such as the British Council and the Singapore Global Networks, and others, as you can see on this slide here. Yep, next, please. So as for our upcoming events, one of our events is UKSSC through the generations. So this is an event where we create a culture of paying it forward. So we get some of the UK alumni to come down to talk to the students about their experiences, whether it's working, studying in the UK or working. Right now that they are graduated, they will be working now. So they will also be talking to the students about, they'll also be providing the students with some of the tips for how to apply to different careers, and students will have the opportunity to chat with them about some of the motivations, or if they need any guidance, they can talk to them as well. So of course, we will invite some of our partners to come down to set up career booths. So if you are interested in joining any of them, please feel free to come down and speak to our partners. More details will be announced soon, so do stay tuned. Yep, next please. So another event that is coming up is our Leaders Ball. So this is an event where we want to gather all the Singaporean student leaders across the UK to celebrate what we have done in the past year over food, great company, and great exciting activities. So it also serves as a platform for UKSSC and partner societies to provide updates to each other regarding recent events and future targets, so we can establish closer ties. So again, more details about this event will be announced soon, so do stay tuned to the announcement. Yep, next please. Yep, so please do keep in touch. This is our the QR code to our Telegram channel. We will be sending out announcement, guidance through this channel, and also we have an Instagram as well. So it will be flashed at the end of the event. So yeah, thank you for listening to my presentation. And yeah, okay, yeah, this is our Telegram channel and our Instagram channel. Yep, thank you for listening, and I wish you all the best for your studies.
Thank you, Zinchin. So for those of you who couldn't take shots of the QR codes, don't worry. As I've said before, we will be sharing all of these slides with you. We're going to quickly move on now, and let me invite Mr. Lee Guanchung from the HSBC Bank Singapore. So Guanchung, you'll have seen there've been quite a few questions about how much of money should I carry? How do I open a bank account? And I think these are the sorts of things that you'll be able to cover for the students. So over to you, Guanchung.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Lisi. Hi, good evening to all of you. So firstly, congratulations to students who have managed to obtain admission into your university of choice. It must be really exciting times for you, but I hope it's not because you finally get to get far away from your parents, yeah? So my name is Guan Chong from HSBC, and my segment today is of how HSBC is able to help you with your banking needs for your overseas education journey. All right, on to the next slides, please. So just a quick disclaimer, today's sharing should not be taken as a personal recommendation, but just for general advice only. Okay, on to the next slide. All right, so along the slides, you can see our QR code at the bottom right, or sometimes it may appear on other spots of the page, but feel free to scan the QR code to leave us any inquiries that you may have, or of course, you can just ask in the Q&A box as well. So why choose HSBC, right? So with our wide banking presence in the UK, you know, a branch is never far away from you, right? And since HSBC is also available in Singapore, so the opening and the linkage of your accounts is a seamless process when you use HSBC. And yes, you can set up a HSBC UK bank account from Singapore and have everything ready pre-departure. So on to the next slide, please. So here you can see it's just a simple two-step process. Number one, you set up a HSBC Singapore bank account. And number two, through something that we call the International Banking Center, we can help you set up the HSBC UK bank account. So this means that you can receive your debit card in Singapore, and you can then use it immediately upon arrival in the UK. So the documentation process is also kept really simple. For the Singapore HSBC account, of course, just your NRIC if you're local. And for the UK bank account, we just need your passport, university name, start and end date of the course. So there are many advantages in setting up the account through this route pre-departure. So for example, you have the UK debit card ready for immediate spending when you arrive in the UK. So this means that you do not need to carry, excessive amounts of cash when you travel across to the UK. So I saw there was this question about how much cash you must carry across. But with the account ready, prior to you arriving in the UK, you can then withdraw from the ATMs there upon arrival using the debit card. So there's also no need to head to a branch when you get to the UK because everything is sent to you already, right? So there's no need to go to a branch, wait for your turn to set up the bank account. You can also ensure that all your documents are ready because everything is done in Singapore. So whereas if you go to the UK, the different branches may actually ask you for different documents, or even different banks may ask you for different documents. So this process then takes out all the guesswork from that. So for parents, you can also be at ease, right, knowing that your child has the bank account ready, and they have sufficient money to spend when they're in the UK. Because through the HSBC bank accounts, you can actually send money instantaneously to their HSBC bank account in the UK from Singapore. All right, so if we could move on to the next page, please. Okay, so this page is a little bit more on the Singapore side of HSBC bank accounts. So for us, for starters, you would have a everyday global account. You can set up an everyday global account with us, and this gives you access to 11 different major currencies. And of course, that includes your UK pounds and your euros. And this account comes with a debit card as well. So this grants you free withdrawals from HSBC ATMs in selected countries globally. But most importantly, yes, it's in UK as well. And you may spend directly through the Visa card function of this debit card without the need of incurring any additional admin fees or any fees that the bank may charge if you use a credit card, for example, because you can switch from Sing dollars to UK pounds through the multi-currency account before you make the spend or before you withdraw your money. Right, so this can be used in the event where you are unable to set up the UK bank account from Singapore yet, for example, because the time is not insufficient, because the time taken for the UK bank account to be set up from Singapore, it takes up to 4 weeks. So do factor that in your plans if you do plan to set up the UK bank account from Singapore. All right, and you also get access to a quick FX app, which allows you to perform instant transfers between the various currencies. For example, your Sing dollars to UK pounds using this app. And you can manage your foreign currencies easily because it allows you to set your preferred exchange rate, for example, before you make that exchange. Okay, so on to the next slide. Okay, so one of the very common questions that we get year after year is that what is the most economical way to transfer money from Singapore to the UK? So the good news is with HSBC, it's free of charge or zero cost. But that of course works only with HSBC to HSBC accounts. So example number one, if you have a HSBC account as a student in both Singapore and the UK, then perfect, it's free of charge to transfer between both accounts through your internet banking. Just a single login, you can view both accounts and you can transfer money easily between both accounts. Example number two is that if your parent in Singapore has a HSBC bank account and you as a student in UK have a HSBC bank account, the parent can also transfer for free to the child in the UK. Scenario number three. So if let's say you have not decided whether you would like to set up a UK bank account at the moment, but in Singapore, you have a HSBC Everyday Global account, you can also transfer money for free to a third-party bank account in the UK. However, there will be charges that might be incurred on the receiving end. So it makes more sense to then have HSBC accounts in both Singapore and the UK. All right, so on to the next slide. So in order to make use of the full advantages of the free transfers, free departure setup and all that, first you have to set up a Singapore HSBC bank account. So you can either do so through a HSBC Premier or a HSBC personal banking account. Highlighted on this page in bold are some of the main points, the important points. So for example, parents who have a premier relationship with us, existing premier account with us, they can extend the premier privileges to the child through something we call the premier family proposition. All right, and with the premier account, the child can then set up the pre-arrival bank account setup for free. There are no charges to set it up. Whereas if let's say it's a personal bank account holder in Singapore, in order to set up the UK bank account from Singapore, there will be $150 charge to that. And of course, for the premier account holders, there will be exclusive FX rates. The child can enjoy worldwide emergency encashment from any HSBC branches. And you can also get them a supplementary Premier MasterCard, which allows them to earn a 5% cashback on everyday spend locally and overseas. Okay, so on to the next slide. Okay, so on this page, you can see some promotions that we have for you today. So one thing to note is that these promotions are not available at the branches. So it's exclusively through this webinar only, through our team. So if you're interested to find out more, please feel free to scan the QR code at the bottom right of the screen to send us your inquiry. But maybe just to highlight, some of the attractive promotions is that, for example, the $600 cash credit if you pick up a premier account, or $200 cash credit if you pick up a personal banking account. There are like complimentary staycation offers at Mandarin Oriental if you do pick up a premier account with us. So yes, please scan the QR code if you're interested to find out more. And of course, terms and conditions do apply. So next page, please. And there is also a referral reward. So if you recall, I mentioned something about the Premier family. So if you're an existing Premier account holder, you can refer your child to be a Premier account holder as well. So with just a minimum top up of 25,000, you can enjoy the staycation reward at Mandarin Oriental. But of course, if you do not wish to top up the 25,000, The Premier family for your child is zero maintenance, right? So if you're existing Premier, you can also get the Premier account for your child with zero maintenance for them. We also do have some offers for credit cards. So it's a Samsonite Luggage with a minimum spend. So yes, all this is available. Just send us an inquiry through the QR code below. Okay, so next page, please. All right, I think this is my last page. So do not hesitate. If you'd like to find out more about how we can help you to get started on your journey, setting up your new account in both Singapore and the UK, please send us an email if you are unable to scan the QR code at sapsgh@hsbc.com.sg. And I look forward to hearing from all of you. So if there are any questions, feel free to ask in the Q&A box. Yep, thank you so much.
Thank you, Guanchung. There's actually quite a few questions that have come for you while you were speaking, so I'm going to leave you to reply to them at the Q&A box. And let's quickly move on now. Let me introduce you, everyone, to Mr. Naushirwan Abdullah, Vice President at Marsh, Singapore. And Naushirwan is going to share with us some useful information about Study Secure insurance scheme. There were some questions about student insurance as well. So over to you, Naushirwan, take it away.
Thank you so much, Tracy. And first of all, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and congratulations to all the students who have gotten the good news. And best of luck to those who are still waiting. So I hope you get the good news soon. I hope you've had a good time so far, and that you will find the next few minutes equally interesting. So as Lizzie mentioned, I am Naushirwan. I head up the Affinity and Consumer Business at Marsh Singapore. So if we can move on, speaking about Marsh as a whole, we're the world's largest insurance broker, which essentially means that we represent our clients and their interests in insurance and risk management transactions. Speaking about Marsh in Singapore, we've been in the country since 1972. In fact, this year we're celebrating our Golden Jubilee in Singapore. And we've been partnering with British Council for this pre-departure briefing for the last 8 years now. So I can very confidently say that we understand the Singaporean customer, and we also very well understand the unique risk management needs of students traveling to the UK. So moving on, in the personal line space in Singapore, Sandra, if we can move on to the next slide, please. We do various lines of personal line, personal lines insurances. We have the likes of travel insurance, there's home insurance, there's automotive insurance, but perhaps the most important one at this hour, and perhaps the most interesting one to you guys would be study insurance, and that is something we do through our product with the name of Study Secure. So Study Secure, Sandra, next slide, please. So Study Secure is Marsh's study insurance product. It has been designed by Marsh. It's something that we're incredibly proud of, and it is currently underwritten by NTUC Income. So moving on, most of you guys will be embarking on a new, very exciting chapter in your life. And it is very, very important that you stay prepared. And the preparation does not necessarily mean that you're checking all the course outlines or buying warm clothes and everything. It also means that you are prepared to, or that you're covered against any unforeseen developments that come your way. So this is where Study Secure becomes your one-stop solution for your insurance needs while you're in the UK. This product has been specifically designed keeping in mind the needs of UK-bound students. So in pursuance of that, then this product has 26 coverages, which are essential for your stay in the UK. Some of them include medical expenses, loss or destruction to your private property, especially your laptop, travel inconveniences, and also coverages related to your personal security. So if we move on to the next slide, please. You guys will probably be wondering that, while I'm in the UK, I'll be enrolled in the NHS scheme, and why do I need a separate insurance? So as I mentioned just now, this product has been designed with the UK-bound student in mind. So one of its core focuses is to supplement the NHS scheme. So the NHS is a boon to people in the UK. We all agree on that, but there are certain things that private insurances can get an add on top of that. So for instance, under NHS, you cannot seek even urgent medical consultation or treatment at any private healthcare institution. In addition to that, NHS generally does not cover claims for the cost of medication. Apart from that, the scope of coverage is rather restricted. So that means that the coverage is only restricted to the UK. If you're traveling during term breaks, and God forbid should something happen, then you're essentially out there on your own. So this is where Study Secure comes in and sort of just adds another layer of protection on top of NHS. So under Study Secure, you can seek urgent or non-urgent medical attention at any private healthcare facility. Beyond that, it does cover cost of medication as well. And the scope of coverage is broad. So even when you're outside of the UK, let's say you're backpacking across Europe, because these are the days to do that, God forbid, should something happen, that you will be covered for that. And one thing that just immediately stands out in this program or in this product is that it also covers accidental dental treatment. This is something that no other study insurance plan covers right now. So God forbid if someone gets into an accident and requires dental treatment straight away, this is something that the Study Secure product covers. So if we can move on to the next slide, there are a variety of student study insurance plans out there, and I mean, a lot of you must have done your research. But let me just put down a couple of pointers here as to what sets Study Secure apart and why do I so confidently say that this is the best product out there. Because it's developed specifically for the UK. It has the broadest coverage and the most economical rates in the market. We conduct due diligence every year, every 6 months, and we keep improving the product. So the product that you see right now is as good as it gets in the Singapore market. Beyond that, there are some other benefits as well. So for example, the COVID-19 coverage. We know that the COVID-19 situation has been under control in the world for the last few months. But again, with the pandemic, nothing is certain. Situation is very volatile, things can change overnight. So this is where Study Secure comes with the flexibility that you can buy additional COVID-19 cover that will cover medical related expenses. Other than that, another salient feature of this product would be the zero deductible on all claims. So typically when you have an insurance claim, most insurers will charge a deductible, which means that you have to pay a certain portion of the claim yourself. Okay, so speaking of the deductibles, essentially under the Study Secure plan, there are zero deductibles. So basically, whenever there's a claim that the insurer will pay from the very first order, and you will not have to incur any out-of-pocket expenses. In addition to that, you can sign up for the product for up to 3 years. If you sign up for 2 years, there's a 5% discount on the premium. If it's for straight 3 years, then it comes with a 10% discount. So next slide, please. So for further information, you can always visit our website because it is a complex product. I haven't been able to cover everything given the shortage of time, but you can always visit our website. You can give us a call. My colleague here, Josephine, she will be very happy to help you out with any questions or comments that you have. So you can see the details on the slide. This will also be included in the information packs you receive. So before I pass the time back, if we can flip to the next slide. If you sign up before 30th September, you are eligible for another 10% discount. So click away, guys. Time is ticking away. And with that, thank you so much for your time and patience, and apologies for this interruption in between. And again, feel free to reach out for more information. Thank you and have a good night. Thank you, Lissy.
Thank you, Naushirwan. And just a reminder for people who are in the audience, after we do end the session, all three, in fact, all three of our sponsors, HSBC and Marsh and Vita Student, they've agreed to stay back a little longer. So if you did need a little bit of extra time to ask them a few more questions, I can see a lot of questions around bank accounts and insurance for now, then you do have a little bit of time afterwards as well. But let's quickly move on again, and it's our last speaker for the evening. So let me introduce Jovi to you. Jovi is Business Development Manager at Vita Student, and she's going to talk about accommodation options, again, something that you do definitely need to consider, accommodation options which are available to you in the UK. So over to you, Jovi.
Thank you, Lizzie. And many thanks to the British Council for having us here today. Hello, everyone, and congratulations to all of you to receive an offer and going to start a new journey in the UK. I'm Jovi Ye, the Business Development Manager from Vita Student. So this evening, I will introduce who we are, what we do, and why Vita Student is a great option for you to choose while studying in the UK. And we do also have a pre-departure guide for you guys in the end. So first of all, who we are a high-end student accommodation provider based in Manchester. We are located in 60 cities across the UK. We own all properties, and from the right map, you can see our distribution. We have sites in Edinburgh, Glasgow, Newcastle, York. I believe most of you are going to those cities. So what we do, we offer international students the perfect British living experience, as we have modern design, luxury hardware, attentive service. Our hotel-style service includes free weekday breakfast, coffee and tea, monthly cleaning, culture, and also some culture activities to create a sense of belonging in our community of residents. We do also have a career hub development platform to help our residents achieve their future ambitions. Next slide, please. Thank you. So before introducing our facilities and experiences in details, I would like to introduce the general accommodation information first. There are three common ways for international students to live in the UK. The first one is university accommodation. Most of students will live in uni accommodation in their first year, as they are university-owned properties and often with reasonable rents. So living in uni accommodation, you may need to share bathroom or kitchen with other peoples, usually 3 to 5 students. You are able to live in a broad community and meet people from all cultures and backgrounds. However, the rooms are very limited, and most of university only guarantee new first-year undergraduates. Also, students may not be able to stay a preference for a particular hall or a particular room type. So if you are interested in a university accommodation, we would recommend you to apply earlier, as there will be an application deadline, so make sure you check with the deadline date with your university or faculty. The second way is to live in your private student accommodation. This type of accommodation also be called as purpose-built student accommodation, or PBSA. Same as university student accommodation, PBSA only allows students to live in, which gives students a very safe living environment. PBSA often provide a studio room and offer more facilities, high-level service for students, such as a common room with DVD player or a gym. This moving ready and all bills include type accommodation are more and more popular, especially after 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic. More students are looking for a studio room now. Last but not least is private housing. It has affordable price and is a good choice for friends to live together. Different from university accommodation or PBSA, bills are not included in rents. And if you choose a local housing, it may students. So overall, we will highly recommend students to live in a uni accommodation or a PBSA. Next slide, please. Thank you. For the room type, there are 3 common room types if you live in a university student accommodation or PBSA. The most popular one is studio room. As I said, it's a PBSA common room type. It comes with a kitchen and a private bathroom. You don't need to share anything with any other people, so it's a perfect choice for you to live alone. If you choose an ensuite room, you may need to share the living room and kitchen with others. And for some ensuite rooms, you may also need to share the bathroom as well. 2-bedroom is for 2 students to live together. Couples quite like this room type. There are 2 bedrooms and students usually need to share the living room and bathroom. Next one, please. So if you are thinking to live in a PBSA, YVita Student is a better choice for you. As a luxury PBSA brand, we offer multiple studio types to satisfy different students' needs. For example, Classic Studio is the most popular one, where design layout 20 meters square is suitable for most of students. We also have smaller room, Light Studio is a good choice for students who want to save money. And also, for those who want to have a luxury living experience, we do have a deluxe studio. Next one, please. Pictures here are our buildings overview. We not only provide various studio room types, but also lots of facilities and service. Next, please. So we have private study room, meeting room, state-of-the-art gym, movie room. As our residents, you could use all facilities for free at any time. Just one more thing to highlight, we have mahjong for our students. Suppose maybe many of you will like this. Next one, please. So for service, we have 24 hours, 7 days on-site security, weekday breakfast, housekeeping twice a month, career hubs, community activities, and so on. We aim to make our students live better, begin big. We are more than just a room. Next slide, please. So this year, we published a pre-departure guidebook for our students. It's a very useful handbook and covers lots of information you need to know. For example, here is a packing list for you to check when you before you leave Singapore. Next, please. And also a full tutorials about how to shop online, app recommendations, even how to apply PSW visa. Next one, please. So to get our pre-departure guidebook, just scan the QR code right down here. We will send you by email. So we have Chinese version, English version, also Japanese version. So if you have any inquiries about accommodation, just type your questions in our chat box. And please do get in touch with us, find us on our social media. So I put our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or WeChat here. Thank you very much, guys, and all the best to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jovi. I know you were rushing a little bit because we are running a little bit out of time, but that's useful information. And again, to everyone in the audience, when you do get the slides, you will get the time to take your time and go over the different accommodation options that Jovi was speaking to you about. So that brings us to the end of our presentations for today. We have very little time left for Q&As. So what I will do is, could I just ask the speakers, the panelists, to please turn your cameras on, and I'll just pick a couple of questions that have come through. I know that a lot of the questions have been answered either during the presentations themselves, especially a lot of the visa related questions. So thank you, Vivian, for that. Some of your questions are very, very particular to yourself, an individual situation. So I don't think, that's something that we can address now. We'll try to keep the questions as general as possible. There are a lot on opening bank accounts, and I'm going to leave that with Guanchung. And again, he's given you a contact for you to get in touch with so that you can get those information that you need on what sort of documentation and how long it takes for you to be setting up a bank account and how much minimum you need to put into that bank account. There were questions on student insurance and why that's different from what your NHS will cover as part of your immigration surcharge that you've paid. And now Sharwan has covered a lot of that. But again, you can get in touch with the Marsh team. And again, if you do stay back, once we end the session, then Nasharwan as well as Leslie and Josephine, they're all here from Marsh, and they would be able to take a little bit more of time to answer your questions. Similarly for Jovi, so we will share slides with you, and you can look at those accommodation options that she was talking about. So I just have a few questions, well, one question in fact, and I'm going to direct that to, let me see if Zinchen, are you still here? Sinchan has.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So this is actually because you are in the UK and you are an Asian student. So I'm going to direct that question to you. It's a
Sure.
question about the spate of anti-Asian sentiment that may
Right.
be coming up not just in the UK but in many parts of the world. Some instances that we've been seeing about stabbings in London, for example. Is that hate crime? Is that on the rise? And what is your experience? What is your personal experience being there in the UK? How would you reassure students and more importantly parents, mums like me, that
Sure.
you don't have to worry when the students are there?
Yeah, sure. So for me, I'm not staying in the London, so I'm in York. So I guess I can only speak for York. So for my experience is that I haven't experienced any hate crime from when I was here since almost 2 years ago. So in fact, I've been living with in a private housing. I rented a private housing with some of the locals here, and they have been very friendly to me, very welcoming. So yeah, I just want to assure you that yeah, there may be cases of hate crimes, but they are few and far between. So far from what I experienced, UK is pretty safe. Hope this helps.
Thank you, Zinchen. Yes, I mean, we have those problems everywhere, including
Yeah.
in Singapore. So it's just a question of being sensible and, making sure that you're also not going out very late at night. And it's not Singapore, so don't take things for granted and just be sensible when you're overseas. Yeah, be careful. That's what I would say. Vivian, there were a lot of questions around timelines as far as visa applications go. Should I apply now? Should I wait until I get my CAS? What if I don't get my visa on time? Then can I travel first on a tourist visa and then switch to a student visa? So can you just quickly just summarize that as far as visa applications, timelines? What's the first thing that students should be thinking about now?
Yes, thank you. As I said from my PPT, I already answered some of the questions about that. So now we suggest the student to prepare the other documents except the CAS. So get other documents prepared. Once you get the CAS, then you can submit them all in one go. And then the 15 working days count from you take the biometric at the VAC. So it's not start from the day you submit your application. It's start from the day you take the biometric. So remember that. And also some students asked whether I can use my, like a Singaporean, they don't need visa to visit UK. But if you want to study in the UK as a licensed student sponsor, and you need to have your student visa, and some student ask if they can travel to the UK first, maybe for a tour or something, and then you need to come back. You need to leave the UK, and we need to see boarding like record on your student visa, and that you enter the UK again. I'm not sure if I make it clear. It's just like you cannot study by your visitor visa or by any other kind of category. You can only study on your study visa, a student visa.
Vivian, let me see if I understood that correctly. So let's say one of the students went over to the UK on a tourist visa, Singaporean passport, you don't need a visa, right? And then their student visa only got processed later on. They would have to come out of the UK and then re-enter on that student visa so that gets recorded with the border control. That's what you meant. Okay.
Yes, that's right. And also for Singaporean, of course, you don't need a visitor visa. You can just go travel to the UK for like a tour or something. But for other countries' students, if you need a visitor visa to enter UK, then don't use this way, because you can only have one visa valid at one time. So if you have student visa in the processing time, like under the process, and you apply to another visa, then your student visa will just expired. You cannot use it anymore. So that's the situation.
Okay, thank you, Vivian. Okay, I'm sorry, everyone, but that's all the time that we have for today. It's been 2 hours that we've all been talking. So we do have to bring this session to a close. On behalf of the British Council and all the attendees, I'd like to thank all of our speakers for all their, the exceptionally valuable information that they've all shared with us. It's a lot of information, obviously, and as I've reassured you all, we will make sure that we will share all of this with you, the recording as well as the PowerPoint later on. So, and a lot of other resources as well. So rest assured that, you will get this information. Within a few days. Well, we do have a public holiday coming up next week, so give us a few days to organize ourselves and then we'll get all of that out to you. Now, if you join the session using a link that was forwarded to you by your parent or by your friend, then could you just remember to go back to our webpage and register, because we do need an email address to be able to send the recording as well as the e-resources to you later on. And that way you'll be sure that you receive a copy of everything that we're sending out to you as well. Again, as I mentioned before, if you could stay on for a few minutes, if you have not had your questions answered, then we still have our speakers from HSBC and Marsh and Vita Student could stay for a few more minutes, not very much longer. It's night time and it's time to go home. But if we've not been able to answer any major questions, we'll try to get those also out to you when we send out the resources to you as well. And again, if you have any questions following this session, then please contact the British Council. You can see our email address there. That's ukstudy@britishcouncil.org.sg, and we'll be able to get back to you with links and resources, or check with our speakers today and then reply back to you on some of those questions. Again, do note that if it's your personal question about this visa, when do I apply, and it's very, very detailed information, then that's not information that either we would be able to provide or Vivian would be able to provide. You're going to have to follow up with the VFS Global where you're applying for your visas. Okay, so not very, so there were some questions about my first name, my last name, and so on. Those are very personalized questions, and I think you would need to follow up with the Visa Application Center for that. But also please keep in touch with us on social media. So I think we have social media handles also over here. This will keep you up to date on further such events that we will be organizing. When Elizabeth was talking earlier on, she was mentioning a Future Learn course about preparing to study and live in the UK. It's open for registration now. I think it closes in a few days' time, about the mid of August. So that's a really good source of information for you. And we will make sure that we share the links to that course as well. So again, for you to join in, interact with other students who are also thinking about moving to the UK, you could start making those friendships right away. UKSSC and SGN have already told you how you can be in touch with students and non-students when you're out of Singapore, in and out of campus. So you have a huge support network that will be looking out for your interests too. So be assured that you're not going to be alone out in a university. There's always going to be this network that will make sure that they are supporting you in any way possible. So finally, a final thanks to all of our speakers, and again to everyone who's attended for all of your questions, all of your contributions. We wish you all the very best with your studies, all the best. And remember, once you finish studying and you come back to us, you will be part of the global UK alumni network and continue to remain in touch both with your alma mater in the university in the UK and back in Singapore, and then contribute to these sort of sessions where you can be talking to other prospective Singaporean students and advising them on how your journey was when you were in the UK. Keep in touch with us. We'll also be doing career career talks, job fairs, things which will help you out after you complete your studies, and then you're looking into the next phase of your life, which is finding a job. So remain in touch with us, please, and we'll be here all the time to support you. We've been here in Singapore for 75 years now, the British Council, and that's what we do. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us today, and have a good evening, good night, if it's time for you to sign out. Thank you again, everyone.